everyone, it's Sonia.elsie here. So for today's video, I wanted to do a story time video. Basically, a bunch of weird things have happened in this apartment and I kind of wanted to just compile all of them. I wrote them all down on a list and I wanted to share them with you guys. I thought that it would be a good story time to just like say all the weird things that happen in this apartment, and maybe you guys will think that I'm crazy, maybe you'll be entertained, I don't know. But so far, a lot of this stuff is really weird. Some of these things maybe could be paranormal, but I guess some of these things could also have a very logical explanation, which is why I just wanted to kind of put them all together in kind of a story time video. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. So if you guys didn't know, I live in an apartment in Los Angeles and it is not the nicest apartment ever. It is kind of an old apartment where a lot of things just kind of happen to go wrong, which is very fun, but we will be moving out in a few months, which will be very exciting. But the main thing that prompted this storytime video today was today I was in the shower just living my life, you know, taking a nice little shower, and suddenly I just felt the bathroom get super cold and I was like, oh, that's weird because I'm taking a fucking shower and the water's really hot. Like, the bathroom is usually just super hot when I'm taking a shower, and I open the curtain and I see that the door is just wide open, and this usually would not be anything that I would be concerned about. Maybe I left the door a little bit open, maybe I didn't close it all the way, but I specifically remember closing and locking the bathroom door because I have this fear of someone just coming into the bathroom while I'm showering and like stabbing me. I don't know. Maybe I've watched too many horror movies, but I feel very vulnerable in the shower, so I always like to lock the door. But when I looked over and saw that the door was open, my heart literally just dropped, and it reminded me of all of these other just little random weird things that have happened around the apartment. The next super weird thing that happened in this apartment was there was this one time that I was walking down the hallway. I had just gotten out of my apartment complex and I was about to go like to the store or something, I'm not really sure. And so I left the apartment, closed the door. Stella was gonna come after me, but she was getting her keys or something, and I was already like a little bit down the hallway and I hear someone directly behind me. It was kind of like a deep man voice just say the word hell. And it was super weird. I looked behind me, I didn't see anyone, and I thought that maybe it was Stella, but she wasn't behind me, she wasn't in front of me, she was still inside getting her key and the door was closed. And I was just like, what? And that kind of freaked me out because that was almost like satanic. I don't know, like who would just say hell? And it sounded directly behind me. It didn't sound like it was through a wall, it didn't sound muffled at all. It literally sounded like it was coming from directly behind me, and I was like, you know what? No. Next weird thing that happened was something that Stella told me happened to her, but basically there was one time that I was just using the bathroom and she was sitting out in the living room, and the weird thing about this apartment is that it's very soundproof randomly. Like, I don't really know how that happened. It's kind of a shitty apartment, but like someone could be in Stella's room like literally screaming, I probably wouldn't be able to hear it. I could be in the bathroom screaming, someone in the living room probably couldn't hear it. Like, it's very good that way, so I don't know. But there was one time that I was using the bathroom and Stella was out in the living room. She said that she heard what sounded like me laughing right next to her, and she looked over and there was no one there. And I wasn't in the room or anything, I wasn't in the doorway, I was in the bathroom with the door shut, and the light, when it turns on, the fan automatically starts, so there would be no way to even hear me. And I wasn't just in the bathroom laughing, so even if somehow the sound did travel all the way over there, I wasn't laughing in that time. Like, I came out and she was like, did you just laugh? Like, were you right over here? And I was like, no, like, I was in the bathroom. And yeah, which I think is just super weird. So the next story takes place in the lower parking garage of my apartment. My apartment complex has 2 parking garages. I don't really go into the lower one that often because I don't park my car there. I used to have to, but they moved me up to the higher parking garage. So I just got back from somewhere and I parked my car, and I was walking towards the door to go to the elevator and up back to my apartment, and this couple was walking out and I was like, oh cool, like I'll just go through the door as they were kind of going through it. And this door, in order to go through it, you needed to buzz your little garage key thingy so that it would open, so I guess the random people can't get in. So it's a little bit more secure. And so this couple was just walking out and I was like, oh cool, I'll just catch the door before it closes so I don't have to use my buzzer and wait for it to buzz me in. So I was walking towards it and I was probably about 10 feet away when the couple walked out, so I wasn't too far away. And so I get right to the door, and the door at this point had been closing slowly, and it had probably only closed just a little bit, and as soon as I get to it, the door completely slams in my face, and I was just like, what? Because if I had been like any closer, the door would have just slammed like directly on me. It wasn't like a slow slam, it wasn't like a just, you know, kind of like a like, it was a full complete slam after it had only been closing very slowly for like a couple inches, and I was just kind of like, what the heck? So yeah, that kind of freaked me out a little bit, but I just went back upstairs and I was like, you know, it's fine. Another weird thing that happens in this apartment is sometimes the elevator door will open on its own randomly when I walk up to it. And this could definitely be just coincidence, but I feel like it's super weird because sometimes there will be no one around, no one will have pushed the elevator button. Like, there are many floors in my apartment, and for it to just randomly open as soon as I walk up to it just seems like a very odd coincidence to me. This has maybe happened to me like 10 or 15 times. I don't really think anything of it, but there was this one time that I was with Stella and we were talking about how it was weird that the elevator doors would just open randomly on their own, because usually you have to push a button and usually the elevator just takes forever to get to you. So there was this one time that we had gotten up to our floor and we were talking about that. We were like, haha, that's super weird. And so she's like, I'm gonna do this, it's gonna be really funny. So she goes up to one of the elevator doors and says, haha, it'd be so funny if it opened right now. And in that moment the elevator door opened, and I know that could definitely be a coincidence, but it was just super weird. We literally like screamed and ran to our apartment. We were like, hell no. The very last story is super weird, and it's definitely a sign that we should probably move out soon. But basically, there was one morning a couple days ago, and you guys watch my friends' vlogs on it. They vlogged this, and I did vlog it, but I haven't posted it yet. But the other day, I was just, you know, chilling, laying in bed when I heard the sound of 3 gunshots, like really close to my head. And I was like, what the heck? Like, my bed kind of faces the window, so I hear a lot of what's going on. Like, if someone's yelling or screaming or there's really loud sirens, like, I hear it. So I heard very distinctively 3 gunshots, and as probably some of you guys know, I used to want to be a police officer, and I did this program called Police Explorers where I learned about police work, and we would go to the range and we would practice shooting and all of that kind of stuff. So I really distinctly know what the sound of a gunshot sounds like, and when I heard 3 of them at once, I knew. I was like, fuck, like, that is definitely gunshots. So I looked out the window, which was probably not the smartest thing to do. If you hear gunshots, you should probably get away from the window. But me being curious and stupid as fuck, I looked out the window and I saw 2 police officers that were running away from the hotel that is like directly next to my apartment. And I was like, oh shit, like that was definitely for sure gunshots then. So I went out to the living room and I was like, to Stella and Cammy, I was like, hey, like, did you guys hear that? Like, that was gunshots. I heard the police running away. And so then they look out the window and the police yell at us like, get inside, like, get inside. And we're like, oh shit. So we're basically just inside. We don't really know what to do. We're like, what really happened? I'm going on Twitter. I'm searching like Hollywood shooting, Los Angeles shooting, like blah, 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 looking at my area, looking up shooting, and I'm seeing some like little scanner reports like reporting shots fired in this block, and I was like, oh cool, like I fucking live on that block, and all of that stuff. And so we don't really know what's going on. We start to hear tons of helicopters flying around, and there are usually a lot of helicopters flying around in general, but these were super loud and super close by, so we were like, fuck, something's going on. Like, we didn't know if someone had been killed, if a police officer killed someone, if a police officer had been shot. Like, we literally had no idea. We were just like, what? And so we go down to the lobby and there are a bunch of people down there and they're telling us that they've been evacuated from their apartment, that like there's a shooter nearby, and we're like, oh shit. So after some time had passed, we start walking back to our apartment. We see a SWAT guy walking down the hallway towards us, and then he stops at the front of our door and knocks on it, and we're like, oh, like, we live there. So after we tell him that we live at this apartment, he looks at us, but he tells us that a guy has been shot and barricaded himself in the hotel room directly across from our apartment and has a gun, which is really cool. Out of all the people that were evacuated, we were the last people that were evacuated, and apparently the shooter had barricaded himself in the hotel room that was literally directly across from our apartment. Our apartment faces the hotel, which is really awesome. But we kind of start freaking out, not like intense freaking out, but we were just kind of shocked. We were like, what? We were just hanging out around the apartment after we heard the gunshots. Like, all of our blinds were open. Like, if the guy really wanted to, I guess he could have like shot at us super easily, and we were kind of freaked out about that. So then the SWAT guy says that they need access to our apartment so that they can see like what the guy in there was doing, and so we're like, okay, sure, like, just fucking take it, like, we don't want to die, like, just go. And so we're hanging out in our friend Jordan's apartment. He lives in the same like apartment building as us, so we just went up to his, and his apartment was on the total opposite side of the building, so we were completely safe. Yeah, after a few hours we go back down to the lobby. They say everything's fine and we can go back to our apartment. So we go back to our apartment, the SWAT team is gone. So we look out the balcony and we see that there are holes in the window. And I sent my dad a photo, and at first I thought it was bullet holes. I was like, fuck, did the SWAT team like kill the guy from our balcony? Like what? So I sent a photo to my dad, who I'd been calling this whole time, and was like, what the heck, like what is going on? Like this is crazy. This is like a real life movie. So I sent him a photo and was like, what? Did they shoot the guy from our apartment? Like I'm freaking out. This is so crazy. And he said that it didn't look like bullet holes, so maybe they had shot some kind of other thing. Maybe some kind of gas to subdue the guy, or maybe like beanbags, I'm not really sure, but that it didn't look like bullet holes, so I was kind of relieved. I was like, I don't know, I just would have felt so weird if someone had been killed from our balcony. Like that just would have felt so weird. I don't know, I just bleh. And so later that day, probably a couple hours later, it was nighttime, and I saw that there, out of the corner of my eye, I saw that there were people in that room, and I was just kind of looking. I even took a vlog clip. I was like, oh, it looks like there are some people in there, like it looks like they're cleaning everything up or like doing detective work, I don't know. And so then Stella and Cami are like, Sonia, like get to the living room, like do you see this? And I look and I'm like, what? Like what is it? And they're like, is that the body? And we're looking at the room, and what I thought was just a guy like laying bent over looking under the bed was actually like the guy that had been killed, and we could see everything that was going on super clearly from our apartment, and we were just like, what? Like it really just felt super weird. I'd never seen a dead person before, and the guy looked so like, I don't know, he had a huge slash across his face. His arms were like distorted and frozen, and they were doing swabs on his fingertips and stuff, and they were taking photos of his face and like doing all of this other stuff, and I was just like, whoa, that is crazy. So yeah, that's basically the whole story with that. I did vlog that day. I'm not really sure if I should post it or not. If I do, I'll put like a disclaimer in the beginning, because at first I was vlogging and I was like, oh my god, we just heard gunshots, and then after seeing the like dead body, like the whole mood just changed, and I was like, wow, like someone actually did die, because I didn't really know what had been going on until after seeing that, and after seeing like the news reports way later. I don't know if you guys are into dreams, but I'm really into dreams, and I do believe that a lot of dreams can be important and can be like intuitive almost. And so last night I had some really crazy dreams that I was being killed, and I was like, I wonder if this has to do with the fact that a guy was killed literally directly across from me. And then I had sleep paralysis probably like 3 times in a row, which if you guys don't know what sleep paralysis is, it's where your body can't move but like your mind is awake, so you open your eyes and you just see like weird stuff going on and you can't move, and it's kind of freaky. So I had that about 3 times, but I've had sleep paralysis really often, so I kind of know what to do. If any of you guys deal with sleep paralysis, if you feel yourself having it, just close your eyes and don't look around, because otherwise you'll freak yourself out. And close your eyes and just try and move one of your fingers or one of your toes or anything, and once you can move like one of your fingers, you kind of snap out of it. So after having sleep paralysis like 3 times, I was just like, what the fuck? Because when I do have sleep paralysis, I usually see dark figures or scary things in my room, and I'm just like, fuck no, like I don't want to see that. So yeah, I don't know if that has anything paranormal to do with the guy being killed next to my apartment, but I don't know, I just thought that I would mention it. Maybe it all ties together. Anyways, you guys, that is kind of the end of my story. That is kind of like all of the weird things that I can think of. If more weird things happen to me, then I will make a part 2. But I'm not really sure. Let me know if you guys think that all this stuff is coincidence, or if you do think that my apartment is possibly haunted. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of like really torn. Half of me really believes in that kind of stuff and believes not to mess with that stuff, and the other half of me is like, you know, there has to be a logical explanation. This can't just be happening. Like, this kind of stuff doesn't happen. But yeah, so anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have had any like weird experiences too that just can't really be explained, or that are just super coincidental, please comment them down below. I would love to hear them, because I don't know, I'm just really into learning about that stuff. I love hearing about other people's paranormal experiences and just like weird shit that happens. I don't know, it's so interesting to me. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked, give it a like. If you disliked, give it a dislike. And I hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone!